Welcome to another meeting of the Lorain County Commissioners, broadcast exclusively on your Lorain County Community College education station. The Lorain County Commissioners cordially invite you to see the meetings live and in person every Thursday morning. The meetings are located in the Lorain County Administration Building, located at 226 Middle Avenue in downtown Elyria. The meetings start at 9:30 a.m. on most weeks. Now, enjoy the meeting.
Okay, if we could all please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Today's quote, leadership is not over-emotionalizing the issues. That would be from George W. Bush, our current president. Commissioner Vassy could not attend today's meeting, so it'll just be the two of us. Madam Clerk?
Okay, under resolutions, I need a motion to approve the Job and Family Services bills for payment.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Investments?
Oh, we're taking turns.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Appropriations?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Transfers?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
There are no advances this morning. Requisitions?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Travel expenses?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Approving bills for payment?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
I'd like to authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary for employees within the jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
There was just the one I saw, correct? So moved.
Leave. Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
I've received the annual report as prepared and submitted by the county engineer in accordance with section 5543.20 of the Ohio Revised Code on the annual bridge inspections. Inspection reports are for bridges that are over 10-foot span on former county highways within various municipalities.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
I'd like to approve the Commissioners' Board meeting minutes and waive the reading of same for May 16th and 21st, 2002.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
I'd like to authorize the Board of Commissioners on behalf of Lorain County Sheriff's Department to enter into an HVAC and fire alarm systems maintenance agreement with Siemens Building Technologies Incorporated of Valley View, Ohio, for the Lorain County Correctional Facility. Given the unique computerized nature of the HVAC and fire alarm system, Siemens is the only company that can properly service, upgrade, repair, and maintain its computerized systems. The agreement is for a period of 3 years. The current agreement will expire on May 31st, 2002. The funds are being provided from the JL of Contract Services account as follows. Year 1 for the HVAC, $19,463. For the fire alarm system, $13,360. Year 2 for the HVAC, $22,008. For the fire alarm, $13,894. In year 3 for the HVAC, $25,903. And the fire alarm systems, $14,450. Lorain County Prosecutor's Office and the Sheriff's Committee have reviewed and recommends approval.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
I'd like to apply for a grant for a watershed coordinator, a joint effort between the Lorain County Community Alliance and Lorain County Community Development Department. The total grant package is in the amount of $192,000. Local match required, $48,000. This is a 6-year program with match required as follows. For year 1, it would be $0. Year 2, $2,900. Year 3, $6,000. Year 4, $9,400. Year 5, $12,900. And year 6, $16,800.
I believe someone's here to address this
Yes,
issue.
May I just make
Oh, go
a
ahead.
few remarks and then ask Rebecca Gray from Lorain County Community Alliance if she would speak. The Alliance has been working on, thank you, Commissioner Moore. The Alliance has been working on stormwater management for the past 6 years, and we have done a variety of things in conjunction with the County Engineer's Office and Soil and Water Conservation and Community Development. And this is an opportunity for us to access some dollars for a position that I think we're going to need in the very near future because the federal EPA is requiring specific plans to be submitted by March of 2003. The Alliance has formed a stormwater task force to look at how we might cooperatively assist each other in this process. And so Rebecca will give us a brief overview of this grant that we're making application for.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just briefly, this position for $48,000 will allow us the monies that we would need to have a full-time prominent watershed coordinator position here in the county. The problem has been traditionally in the county that we've got a lot of different interests and a lot of different people working, but no one prominent person to head up and spearhead efforts to get things done. One thing that I wanted to mention was the Black River is one of the areas of concern as designated by the Ohio EPA, and that they've let us know that they would be supportive of us in moving forward with a grant application for this. And I hope to have the final draft done very shortly, and they will let us know the status of their recommendations August 15th. Any questions?
No, this is fantastic. When I took office, I had a lot of people show up with Polaroids of their backyards due to all the development that's going on the east side of the county. And you're right, I think this is great that the Alliance is participating in this event. Ron, do you have anything to add to this, or?
Thank you, Commissioners. Our department is in support of this application at this point. This is number 2 on the list out of the county land use plan as far as priorities to be addressed, and I think the timing is great. We do have development pressures that still exist, even though the economy has slowed down a little bit in the last couple of years. So I think this is a golden opportunity for Lorain County to do the right thing. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Mr. Chairman, also move.
And I will second.
Any more discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye. Great job, everybody. This is great. Thank you.
It authorizes the Lorain County Board of Commissioners to recognize the name change of Quickie Designs Incorporated, a division of Sunrise Medial HHD Incorporated, which is now doing business as Sunrise Medical Mobility Productions Division, and the Sunrise Medical Mobility Productions Division shall continue to receive tax abatement pursuant to Enterprise Zone Agreement number 094-93-07.
My question is, this is just a name change. Is that correct?
If I might, for the public, I'd like to give just a brief summary. Quickie Design received tax abatement in 1993, December 27th, actually, from the Board of Commissioners. It's a division of the Sunrise Medical HHG Incorporation in Avon Lake. I'm sorry, it's in Avon Lake. They are now doing business as Sunrise Medical Mobility Products Division. They need to have that reflected both by the city and by the county commissioners in order to have this submitted to the state of Ohio and to keep our tax abatement records current. We do in the spring and February every year the Tax Incentive Review Council, and it was brought to our attention by the city at that point and the company that this name change had taken place, and it does not, the abatement does not expire until June 30th of 2003. So in order to keep our records current with the state of Ohio and everybody involved, we are asking for this name change.
Are they, did they just change, is that all just a name change, or did they reincorporate, form a new division, and now we're allowing another abatement for the new division, or?
No, it's basically a name change. I think they were purchased by a bigger company, and so in that respect, it's more than just a name change, but They are not affecting any of the requirements or parameters of the original abatement. So for Lorain County's sake and the city's sake, it's nothing more than a name change as it reflects on this abatement. They've still made the same level of investment, and they still have the same number of employees. Actually, they've increased the number of employees. So the requirements for the abatement have been satisfied.
Okay. Thanks, Ron.
Sure.
Also moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
More discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
To award bids on various categories of food items for Golden Acres County Home and the Lorain Medina Community-Based Correctional Facility for the period July 1st, 2002 through December 31st, 2002. These awards are the lowest and most responsive bids received, complying with specifications, and they will be listed in the resolution.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
To advertise for bids for the purchase of hardware and software required for the E-RIMS project, document imaging project, currently being developed for the Department of Job and Family Services. Bids to be accepted on Wednesday, June 12, 2002 at 2 p.m. here in the public hearing room. I'd like to publish the notice in the Chronicle Telegram and Morning Journal on May 29th and June 5th, 2002.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
I'd like to advertise for bids for a self-exploration, asset discovery, and environmental education program in conjunction with the Pathways program, preparing unemployed and underemployed to enter the workforce to be used by the Department of Job and Family Services. Bids will be accepted on Monday, June 10th, 2002 at 3 p.m. in the back conference room. We need to publish the notice in the Chronicle Telegram and Morning Journal on May 27th and June 3rd, 2002.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
I'd authorize the employment of Thomas Borowitz as bailiff for the Lorain Municipal Court, effective retroactive to April 1st, 2002. Mr. Borowitz will be replacing John Derafay, who is retiring on June 30th, 2002. Salary is based on a biweekly rate of $591.70, which is $38,451.72 annually, plus $36.92 longevity pay, which is effective retroactive to April 19th, 2002, for a biweekly total rate of $628.62. And this amount does reflect the county's two-fifths share.
Did you have comments, Mr. Cordes?
We're not live. Anyway, this, I just want for clarification purposes that the bailiff will be retiring. He's on terminal leave, so it'll be a bit of an overlapping period. We would have had to pay the cash out for that bailiff had he not taken terminal leave. So either way, we are going to incur a small amount of cost because we'll end up paying some additional PRS while the overlapping period is there. Just wanted to point it out to the board so you don't feel later on that you didn't get all the information on this issue. But I think that we need to do this. It's our responsibility on the ballot. So just be aware that the gentleman will be retiring and there'll be a bit of an overlapping period, but they won't be actively at work.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Reports, comments, Mr. Cordes, Administrator?
I have a couple issues this morning, Commissioners. First, I received a request for a emergency repair order out at the Lorain County Regional Airport on the FBO property. Normally, I would just approve this under my authority since it is an emergency and it appears that part of a building is ready to collapse. But since the board will say, I'm going to pass it to you, and I'm going to ask you to approve $6,318 to make a repair to a pillar support on a main door on one of the hangars that sustained some damage. I received that late yesterday. I've reviewed it, and I believe that we need to make that repair, and the funds are available in our capital improvements account to do that.
This is our FBO building?
Yes, it is.
This. want to do? Just make a motion to...
Yeah, I request a motion, a resolution be passed to approve the expenditure of
Okay.
that sum of money.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Earlier on our agenda, we made some appropriations and transfers of funds for the probate court to take care of their issue with their servers that are in the process of being overloaded and potentially failing. These are the requisitions that I'm passing you for approximately $80,000 to approve so that we can finish that process. I've only received them this morning. There's also some emergency purchase order attachments at the very end of those from probate court. They feel that they need to do this immediately. We have moved the money around into the proper accounts to pay for this, so I'm asking that you approve those requisitions before you.
And our IT director already reviewed it?
The IT director reviews and concurs.
I see some have like different statements on them, so. Like they didn't go to the data board, I saw that. Does not have to, I said.
As long as Mr. Smith is concurred with them, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
This project substantially more than what we first anticipated.
Yes, it is.
Can you address that?
No, I can't. My understanding was that the servers were going to have a approximately $54,000 or $56,000 cost is what comes to mind when we first addressed this issue. But if you look, there's additional software that may not have been in the request for the service. So while I say I can't address it, maybe I can. I believe that the software was not what was in the original request us. We were asked for hardware. The software was a court issue. They did not need to come to us to ask for the software, so they just lumped us all together at the same time.
Okay, and there's sufficient monies, or what account will this be paid from?
Mr. Rokasy, we just completed transfers and appropriation to cover this expense this morning.
We did that?
Yes.
So that there's sufficient monies?
Yes.
General fund monies, though?
No, I thought it was coming out of probate.
I think it's a combination of
It's
funds.
general fund money, as I recall. If I have those documents, I could take a look at it real quick. I believe they're all general fund. Probate court. They have other funds.
Most of probate is general fund. It's just a matter of moving money around from their
Well,
accounts.
I'm just asking.
Okay.
Actually, the requisitions are to two different special revenue funds, not the general fund.
They are?
Yes.
You move the money there.
May I see the appropriate to see if they match up?
I think I only saw like a couple, I didn't see 80,000 worth, but I saw like 16. I saw one for,
There were several of them,
A couple of them.
and I actually didn't really concern myself with the mechanics side.
Well, there were two appropriations. There were computer software and contracts. One was $6,300 and the other was $12,000.
Right, and there was already money in those accounts. They moved money to bring them up to the level that
The
was
level that you
necessary to
needed?
spend.
All right.
Correct.
Okay.
and this was coming out of the,
This is a general, this is Computer Legal Research Fund 233, and the other one was Computerization Fund 234.
are those special revenue funds then, John?
Yes, they are, Commissioner.
Okay.
Well, that means what, John?
That they would not be charged to the general fund, but to revenue accounts that are separate from the general fund that are controlled by the probate court. So what I'm seeing here is the appropriations are to Fund 233, computer software, and 234, which is a computerized computer fund. So they appear to match, meaning the appropriations match account-wise and fund-wise with the requisitions. I can't say that there's enough money here to cover those requisitions. There may or may not be. I've just seen, the requisitions this morning. But there has been some money transferred into the special revenue fund.
You're telling me we're going to approve a resolution and you don't know if there's enough money in there to pay for it?
I've just seen the requisition. This is all a surprise to me this morning, Commissioner. I knew about the appropriations and the amount of money
Right.
here,
I was saying,
but I didn't know the requisitions were coming through this
My
morning.
understanding is that the necessary funds have been moved to pay for this equipment.
Okay.
Now, I'm going based upon information provided to me. I do not pull it up on the screen and make sure that it's there. And I have to defend Mr. Rokasy as if we had gone through the normal process, that would be reviewed. But given the urgency here, I'm predicating my request upon somebody else's information. It's not always the best way to do business, but if the money isn't there, we'll have to appropriate it or move it next week.
Next week.
All right. Then, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make the motion that we approve this request. Judge Horvath has been very patient, and I know there's been a lot of work done between our computer department and what his needs are, and I have been monitoring this, as I'm sure you have too, waiting for the outcome so we can proceed. So I'm in favor of doing this.
If I may just interrupt and add, if Mr. Cordes has obviously had those conversations with the courts and he feels comfortable that those requisitions are covered, then obviously I would concur with that.
Okay. Then I'll second.
Any more discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Thanks, John. Commissioners, last week we had some folks in here talking about the situation with the sewers on East River Road. We were asked to take a look at some issues down there and the potentiality of dealing with possible road repair that was upcoming and doing some work with the sewers. That's a quote received to install the laterals and some other additional work that would be necessary to make sure that the sewer could be extended in the future to other areas in this service corridor. What you want to do with this from here, we can discuss at a future date, but you did ask for this information, and it has been provided to you, so you have some cost data in front of you should you want to proceed with this, and we can talk individually on this. We don't have to deal with it today.
I see Mr. Carney's here today.
Yes,
I
he
think
is.
some of the people that might be affected look like they're here today.
I think we'd like to read it.
Yeah,
How about that? Why don't you read the
I read the letter.
No.
Out loud? Oh.
So people can,
Well, people can read my mind. I'm going to pause, and I'm going to ask Ken, I'm going to ask you a question. When I read this letter, I found something in here, so I'm going to ask you a question. So, Dear Mr. Carney, I'll wait. Okay, here's the letter. If you were watching last week's show, you saw that we had some issues regarding the sewers. And so here's a response from KEM, McCartney and Associates, regarding some of the requests. Per your request, please find attached a project cost estimate to extend lateral sewers to each township residence along the newly constructed trunk sewer on East River Road. The project area would be both sides of the roadway, commencing at Fuller Road and extending southerly along East River to Chestnut Ridge and northerly along Chestnut Ridge to Rosemore Street. The City of Elyria has agreed to allow us to utilize their plans associated with their main line sewer construction. Each lateral would connect to the city main using a Inserta T type tap fitting. Being that the existing main line sewer is 10 to 18 feet deep, we anticipate the laterals will need to be raised to 10 or 12 feet deep at their ends. I'm going to continue reading. That's a question I'm going to ask you right there, so I'm going to continue, though. Their exact depth will be determined during the design when the basement floor elevations are measured. As usual, the cost to extend laterals through private property to each house and to abandon the septic tanks are not part of the project. These costs would be paid by the owner when permits are issued for user connection. The following is our estimate to construct the laterals from the main to the right-of-way line. Included with the breakdown is a cost to extend 8-inch sewer stubs across the roadway at Robert, Penny, and Rosemere Street to allow for their extensions in the future. We trust the above meets your request. We're available to meet with you at your convenience to discuss the project. is there an issue regarding the feet there? Because I think that was what's the discussion I had, or that you guys were having last week. There seems to be a difference in the depth. I mean, that, I guess that's a question. Is there an issue here regarding how deep these need to be done? I heard 22 feet. Or no?
Well, yeah, I believe, excuse me, you probably did hear 22. It's 10 to 18.
Okay, let me ask you this then, because for them putting this sentence in this letter, being that the existing mainline sewer is 10 to 18 feet deep, we anticipate. Okay, so what they're saying, being that the existing, so what I'm wondering, if it ends up being 22 feet, we're going to have added costs or not?
No.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Now you're on the right, no. No to added cost. That's all I wanted to hear. Thank you very much.
Figured that was
That's
it.
all I wanted to hear.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't know if Commissioner Blair has any questions.
Well, the total estimated construction cost is $264,979. Is that correct? And the estimated project cost per user, according to this, is $5,000.
Yes, that was correct May 28th. And I immediately made copies and brought it to Jim's attention, Mr. Cordez's attention for distribution. And subsequently, I was looking, I believe it's only fair to absorb the cost on a county level for the 8-inch laterals that we intend to put on those 3 street intersections. The reason why we're putting those 8-inch laterals in there is similar to the 6-inch connections, so that we won't disturb the road at such time as other individuals want to extend the sewers. So I believe we should absorb that cost, and I believe that was, my new estimate shows that that's basically roughly about $14,000. So in a nutshell, with the deletion of those 3 small pieces, I have the project cost per user estimated to be $4,560 now, so it's dropped about 10%.
Which 3? You took out the 8-inch sewer that you're going to pay?
In the letter that you read, the last
At the following are estimates
says that
made.
Robert Penny and Rosemere Street will have 8-inch sewer stubs. I believe we should absorb those costs.
Okay. So they
Pick them
did-
up later.
Which line item is that?
It's not a line item, it looks like. That's
Well,
what I was-
that's my question.
that's what I was looking
It's
for.
Number 8.
7 and 8.
What is it?
7 and 8. 6-inch sanitary sewer, 8-inch sanitary sewer. Is that correct?
No, that can't be right.
Yes, the 8-inch sanitary sewer is what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
I've got new estimates for you today.
You got the 6?
You don't have to correct yours.
Well, I'm looking at what I got. Do you have copies, or do you just have the one?
I'm sure there's a machine here. I'll get you some.
Oh, okay. Well, we're talking now, so let me do this. You're talking about, it said 8-inch in the letter here. You're saying the 6-inch too you're going to pay for?
No, the 8-inch is a main, 6 inches a lateral. We propose to put 125 feet of 8-inch main through the intersections of Penny, Rosemere, and Robert
Okay, see that?
during the construction.
Yeah, just number 8.
So we're taking that out, taking some of the granular backfill out, taking some of the
So then all of a sudden it's a reduction all around.
pavement repair,
Never mind.
add those numbers up. You get about $14,000 deleted from the total cost. The affected property owners would share in that benefit, so the decrease is from $5,000 to $4,560 per property owner, estimated cost within 10%.
What's the average cost for a tap-in, would you say, for a homeowner?
Average cost for a tap-in.
Yeah, I mean...
$2,500, City of Elyria.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the connection fee. We call it tap-in
Yeah,
fee,
tap-in.
connection fee. That's the right to enter into the system and start the billing process.
Okay.
Upfront cost, one time only.
But if they're going to lie sewers in your front yard,
Normally, if the sewer is available there, as we discussed last week, you're required within a certain time period to make the connection.
but aren't those usually a little bit more than the 2,500? Or is that...
Well, the tap-in is $2,500, but then you have to pay for all your lateral all along your property.
Yes, if you've got your septic tank in your rear yard, you have to abandon that, close it down, crush it.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if the county's going to lay some pipe down in front of your house, you have to pay for
Well,
something.
that's correct, Commissioner.
I'm just saying, what's that average cost?
Oh, for that, it would, well, Ken, what would it cost if we had to lay the sewers? I guess what the question is, if we
Yeah.
had to lay the sewer and do this work, what would be the cost?
If you laid the sewer main,
Right.
Yeah.
8-inch sewer main, probably $175 a foot divided by 2.
Average, just say the average foot's 90 feet.
You can assess up to, That would be the cost.
Okay, so-
$175 a foot to put in an 8-inch sewer.
Okay, no, I just want to know, because what we did was we put in sewer for free for these homes, correct? Didn't have to pay for that?
Larry put it in.
Larry put it in and didn't charge the homeowners, correct?
There's a transmission line.
Okay, so that's like an average cost of $7,800 there.
Tremendous savings.
Plus, you would add a $2,500 tap-in fee, so it would have cost a homeowner over $10,000. But since Elyria put it in, obviously the county did something to help them out and negotiated. So these homeowners are, instead of paying $10,000 over 10, they're going to end up paying about $4,500, correct?
Well, actually, they would have paid, the tap would have been $14,000, close to $15,000 with the sewer,
Okay.
the tap, and the $4,600. They're still going to pay the tap, so they're going to pay about...
Oh, they're still going to pay an additional $2,500 now?
Right, about $7,200, $7,100 will be their fee now. So
That's
it's about
if they
half.
want to tap in, though, right?
They'll be required to. If you put the laterals along that road there, first we're going to have to decide how we're going to recoup this cost. And the second thing is, I believe the health department will, within a certain amount of time, require them to tap into that sanitary sewer.
You're correct.
Those are two issues that we have to deal with. That's why I said that I would talk to you individually and then maybe
I know, that's fine. I'm
talk
just,
together.
there's people here that probably want to hear the same
Okay,
thing.
but
Okay, good
there's
discussion.
That's all.
the estimated cost to the property owner is $4,560, as Mr. Carney has estimated, plus $2,500 for the tap-in. That comes to $7,060. Now, in addition to that, each property owner has to pay the cost of extending the laterals through their private property to their house and to abandon the septic tanks.
Exactly. But-
And do you have an estimated cost of what that is, a ballpark figure?
$2,500.
Thank you.
Recognizing that the $7,100 roughly constitutes less than half of what it would have cost had we done a sewer project going down that road. Would that be a fair statement?
Correct.
Were there public hearings held back then to do this?
Yes.
So the landowners knew that they were putting sewers in?
Yes.
That was 96, right, you said? Or was it 98?
97-ish.
Okay.
Construction 98
Okay.
started, I think.
Refresh my memory, what public hearings?
Don't they have to have public hearings to drop sewers in on people's front yards?
I'd have to refer to Mr. Ennis's memory.
I don't think so.
Oh, really? Okay, I could be wrong. I'm just asking.
No, we didn't have any public hearings on this particular issue.
Okay. So no, it just, I have a feeling we're forcing people to tap in. That's what we're doing now, right? I mean, people are being forced to put sewers in their homes now.
You're not, Mr. Commissioner, you're
We're
not
not?
forcing anyone to tap into the sewer system. It's the county health department.
County
EPA
Health Department
regulations.
is? Okay.
Presently, they're required to tap in.
Oh, right now. But the
Yes, sir.
issue at hand is the cost, and that's what we're doing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think the discussion last week was that it would probably be more advantageous for the county to put the lateral in, and instead of each individual homeowner having to do it on their own
Okay.
in a less organized fashion. Was that not part of our discussion last week?
That's correct, Commissioner. This is cheaper by the dozen. This is down to $4,500 now instead of 10.
Okay.
We're
Or 14, I think you were saying, correct?
I'm using lateral costs
Oh,
only.
lateral costs, okay.
I did want to remind you that part of that meeting last Thursday was for myself to be addressing Ken Pierce. I did write him a letter. I did have a conversation immediately after last Thursday's meeting. And I wrote him a letter, quite frankly, showing him that the commissioners have asked my department to design a sanitary sewer lateral construction project for this particular termini, and I expressed to him where the termini were, which resulted in an effective property owners of 50. There's a few on Chestnut and East River Road. Total is 50 taps. With this, I expect construction sometime before this winter to begin. And I asked him to advise me what his connection policy would be for the affected property owners. The reason why this was brought to attention was there wasn't one affected property owner who was here today. Mr. Pierce has advised me that, based on my letter, he would grant permission for that house to be sold and delay the sanitary tap connection fee until we have done that for them.
Okay. Is that acceptable? That sound, I mean, obviously, it sounds like something's happening here now.
Which
Who's
affects everyone.
Well, yeah, it will affect everyone. How are you, well, then that's his issue on how to collect the fee then?
Totally his issue, Mr. Commissioner.
But we're the one, I mean, how are we going to be able to get the money that we advance, and who's going to be responsible for the $4,500? The sellers right now, or the buyers that buy it right now? I mean, let's just hypothetically say this home's going to sell on Monday.
That's an assessment to the existing property owner at the time of the assessment certification.
So right now, the seller right now then is not going to be responsible for the $4,560. The person that purchases the home right now is going to be responsible for the $4,560, correct?
It's an assessment to the existing property owner at the time it's certified.
Okay.
Whoever owns that property that day has an assessment on their property.
Okay.
It's a lien.
Right.
For 20 years, I suspect this would probably be just $200, a little over $200 a year.
Okay.
For 20 years. But Mr. Pierce has advised me he's not going to stop any activity in that area for loan applications, and that would permit all housing to be transferred with no problems.
Okay, no, that's
based
fine.
on our commitment to construct this winter.
Well, that's based on a commitment. I think that's key there, based on a commitment. All right, we don't have a commitment yet. I don't believe. You have some data. I don't hear a commitment here.
Well,
That's correct. The letter I wrote to Mr. Pierce said expected construction would be.
And I don't think that we can make that commitment today, because we have to go back and take a look and see. We very well may have to have public hearings. Even though the transition line's there, we may have to have public hearings on putting those laterals in to give the property owners a chance to come in publicly and speak on the issue, because they will be assessed for those laterals.
Right.
So we can't make that commitment yet.
That's correct. No commitment. But we are aggressively pursuing engineering, and based on that letter, Mr. Pierce is going to set that for about a year.
Okay,
and let
good. Based on that
normal
letter.
activity commence.
Which is fine. I mean, the bottom line is we don't want to hold up any sales of property, because we have to go through the bureaucracy of getting a
Yeah, I'm just simply trying to protect the board's interest that somebody's going to come in later on and say we made a commitment to do this.
Right.
But what I'm hearing is that, I thought you said, Pierce, according to Mr. Carney, the director of the health district is not going to stop activity based on our commitment, and you just said we don't have a commitment yet. Where does that leave this individual property owner?
Well, that's a very legitimate question. I don't know where it leaves the property owner. All I'm indicating is that I don't believe this board is yet able to make that commitment. You may have a commitment to continue to move the issue, but you cannot make a commitment to install these laterals. I don't believe that we're at that stage yet.
I heard from Mr. Carney that I think he was satisfied with the letter from Mr. Carney. That's what I got.
And the terminology I'm using is expected.
Good.
Not committed.
Okay.
So.
We're all committed.
Got that right.
All right.
I did.
So I think that letter's sufficient for Mr. Pearson, as my understanding, because what you're talking about might take us a month. The public hearings are 6 weeks, correct?
Oh, it'll take some time, yes.
Yeah, and that's what, I guess with what I'm hearing, that Mr. Pierce is satisfied with the letter he received from the engineer and will not hold up any sales. Did I hear that proper?
Okay.
Okay, then that's fine. I don't see what the issue is. It sounds like it's a semantics issue now, right?
I would like to.
I'm sorry.
Ms. McCarter is here. Can we ask her?
Yeah, you can come up to the podium.
I'm Chris McCarter, and I was the person who started this ball rolling last week. And first of all, on behalf of the McCarter family, I'd like to thank the commissioners and Mr. Carney especially for, taking this issue and running with it. I just don't want it to die in committee or be tabled, because the reality is, because my buyer's going FHA, I can, talk to them and talk to their bank about this expectation that Mr. Carney wrote the letter concerning to Mr. Pierce, but the reality is I'm going to have to put money into escrow. My mother's house sale is going to have to put money in escrow in waiting for this to happen. So I'm going to be hounding you guys until this, this does actually take effect, and I understand, and I'm willing to work with everybody out there, the 50 families, bringing everybody up to speed on what this is going to mean. But if I understand this correctly, the $4,560 is something that can be assessed over 20 years.
I think it's going to be assessed. I think that's what
people don't have to dig into their pockets and really come up with this money right away. And I have had estimates, and Mr. Carney's right on the mark. They're anywhere from $2,500 to $2,700 for each individual homeowner to have the excavation done from the house to the road.
But it's not quite that simple, because when they're required to tap in, then they have to abandon their existing sanitary system, and that can be quite costly. And Mr. Carney knows that.
That's part of...
Is that part of the $2,500?
Two different excavators. They're going to collapse the walls on the septic, and fill it in, and then run the line from the house so that the waste will go to the sanitary sewer once it's available.
And that can all be done for $2,500?
That's an estimate.
Okay.
I've had two different people, $2,500, but that doesn't include the $2,500 for the fees.
For the tap.
So that's, we're talking like $5,000 that the homeowner will have to come up with. But then the $4,500 can be assessed over time. Okay. But it's a lot better than the $12,000 that I had an estimate for last week, or the $14,000 we were talking about here.
Okay.
Okay.
So
it sounds like this letter may help you or assist the family in...
From your lips to God's ears. We'll see what happens. But I appreciate everybody working on this as fast as possible.
Thank you, Chris. And I just want, I talked to John Carasy yesterday. You're working with him. He's the legal counsel for the health district. I guess my question is directed to you, Chris. So that the health district this is coming together?
I don't know. I have to...
You haven't talked to
him again, because I haven't spoken to him since this letter went to Mr. Pierce.
Okay, I think there's some representatives from the health district here. Are there not? Is there someone from the health district here?
I don't think anybody from the health district wants to.
Okay, all right.
I don't think so. Okay. So what? So you're gonna talk to the commissioners regarding this, Jim?
I will
talk to the prosecutor's office. Maybe get us a schedule of how this should be handled.
It's already written here. I'm going to write a letter to Jerry. I have a couple issues with the hearings, and since we've never done it this way before, where we're just installing laterals off a transition line, we probably need to take a look at how the laws are written, see what our procedures need to be. This is different for us, but we'll keep the project moving along.
Put it move along. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It might be.
Is there anyone else here that wishes to discuss on this issue? I don't know if people are here for this issue or not, but I think it's something that's going to be a continuation. You come. Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Jim.
Good morning. Is it possible that Lorco could give a job cost estimate on this very same issue, and to see if possibly that it could be done with absolutely no cost to the county, and possibly provide this service even cheaper?
Sure, we're looking at anybody who'll do it. Just what the problem is. Well, I'm gonna let
service area.
Yeah, it's not ours.
See, I know you placed a call. I'm sorry I haven't called you back. It's been a hectic week and a short week. This service area is Elyria's service area. And Ken, you can speak better to that, but I don't believe that Lorco can, and nothing against Lorco, I don't believe they can operate in this area because it's clearly Elyria's sewer line in Elyria's service area, except that the county responsibility for getting the taps to the homeowners. We have the same issue out with Pittsfield and Oberlin right now on designation of service areas. So Lorco cannot operate in this service area without the express permission of the city of Elyria.
So if Lorco could go talk to the city of Elyria and then come back and do it for free, I think that's about the path it'd have to go on, wouldn't it, Jim?
That's my take on it.
I think that free is misleading.
I know, but I'm just saying...
Ken, can you speak better to this? My understanding is clearly this is the city of Elyria's planning area and the city of Elyria's service area.
I'd like to make it clear I want to be first on the list for these free sewers. And on record. But the transfer, when this sewer was constructed, there's a large amount of areas that we've had Elyria committed to service. And you're correct, Mr. Cortez, as usual, that the fact that this comes to Elyria's attention from Lorco, it's an agreement between themselves. And we do have a joint agreement between ourselves and Lorco to help. But that's the extent of that situation. If, I've never been approached. I don't know if Elyria's been approached. They're not represented today. But am I answering your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I don't think I said free sewers. I said at no cost to the county.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
It's interesting how one remark becomes another.
That's just two politicians talking, guys. That's all that is.
Who are they?
Jim and I.
Oh, okay. I want to clarify that.
Stay tuned, more to come.
Okay, is there anybody
And
else?
Mr. Carney will give us the updated costs because, okay. Thank you.
Is there any other comments regarding this issue? If none, I guess, Mr. Cortez, do you have any other issues?
Yes, I do, sir. I'm pleased to report to the board that we have some progress on moving towards the goal of historical renovation of our intermodal train hub. I formed a team to do a RFQ to bring in some architects and engineers and the proper people to start that process. On that team was Tom Ferguson, Debbie Moore, Karen Davis, Ron Twining, and myself. We went through the RFQ process. We received 6 proposals. All the proposals were excellent. Each individual team member ranked and assigned points to various elements of those proposals. The scores were totaled, and we entered negotiations for services to the top point gainer. With that, I'm going to pass you 2 proposals, one for each of you. It's one proposal, actually 2 copies, for second-generation properties. We believe that they've submitted an RFQ that was just slightly superior to all those others submitted, giving them the edge. We met yesterday on cost data. The approximate cost with reimbursables is going to be about $99,000 to do this design, engineering, and prep work. We need this to move the project forward. I'm going to read something here requesting how we're going to pay for this, but in the end, the money will come back through funding sources that were achieved through the work of transit. And Tom, you want to speak to that and on where that funding source is? So we're actually going to pay the upfront cost but be reimbursed. And Tom will explain to you how that's going to work.
My name is Tom Ferguson. I'm Chief Finance Officer for Lorain County Transit. We've received a grant. It's through OPTA, which is really a federal discretionary funding grant for $100,000. And the application is now in process, been filed, and I've asked them to rush it along because of the timeline of this report. And that is an 80% match. The other 20% will come from state funding sources. So the full amount will be paid through transit kind of funding sources through federal and state funds.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
Also present here is Karen and Ron, and if they may want to speak to the proposal, if you care to. Ron, it's not like you to be silent.
I'll take the lead on this one.
Okay, please do.
This goes way back to what we talked about. How many months ago was it that this first came up? Was it 6 months ago we talked about
It's been
this?
several, yes, sir.
And what I liked about what we're doing here, which is this, and this is what I think this report that the general fund's not paying for, we're getting federal and state fund, money for, is we own a building that needs to be restored. We own a building that needs to be operational. and we're going to have a roadmap that's going to know exactly how much each electrical outplate's going to cost. So we're not going to have any surprises, because really this will give us something where, this is what I'm hearing, is this document's going to tell us this is how much it's going to cost the county to restore this building. That's what I'm hearing, and there will be no surprises at the end. And these guys have a history. These guys have actually done the New York Central Railroad Station. They have a great resume, it looks like, from what I've seen in the past, okay? I think this is just huge, because then we can make a decision on, if let's hypothetically say it's going to cost, it could cost anywhere from $2 to $10 million. The fact is, then, from what I'm hearing from the federal government, is they may participate 100% in funding this program. And I think that's what I like about it. We're doing all the prep work properly, and we're going to know exactly what's going to cost, so that this board can make an informed decision. And that's what I see what we're doing today.
Right. They will also identify potential funding sources. They will also identify potential revenue sources for various uses of the facility. Should we not be able to obtain all the money necessary, we may be able to enter into strategic partnerships. We've also we're going to explore a potential partnership with the Port Authority on this issue. They will also go to what we call the pre-construction phase in drawings, which are very essential for us. So there's a lot of activity that's going to be going on. They will also be looking at traffic patterns in the particular area, which is concerning to us because of the proximity to the Elyria's new library eventually down there. So it's a broad-based scope of work that they're going to be performing. And I need to point out that they're also performing it all in 90 days. We're trying to queue up for some federal money. That's an extraordinarily small period of time to get this large amount of work done. There's going to be a lot of people assigned to this job. There's going to be a very big team on the other end. They've partnered with various specialists in each one of these fields. We had about 5 or 6 of the representatives in yesterday. So there's going to be a lot of activity. It's a massive undertaking in a short period of time, because we're trying to queue up for some discretionary money that Senator Voinovich and Senator DeWine has available, and we're trying to get this plan to them. And I'm excited about undertaking another project that's going to enhance the downtown area of Elyria. We also need to meet with the stakeholders, the city, the library, the downtown Main Street people. This is going to be a cooperative community effort. We'll be hosting those folks up here next week for some other issues that we've been working together on, and at that time we're going to let them look over what we're doing as a tertiary issue to what we're meeting on. So it's going to be a dynamite project.
I see. Brian finally.
You do
finally. Thank you. Thank you.
I had to sit there and think of something.
I told Pam I had to reduce what I wanted to say and be a little more succinct. We have made a commitment since 1998 here at the county level to encourage redevelopment of the urbanized areas, both through the land use plan and the multimodal concept plan, which was a discussion we held with several citizen committees that was commissioned by the Board of County Commissioners. The second part of that, in addition to the studies, was some of the financial incentives and grants that we have tried to show our desire to redevelop the urbanized area versus allowing cornfields to continue to be converted to development patterns. This is a prime example of redevelopment and pedestrian-friendly or pedestrian-oriented designs that will help an urbanized area. Certainly, this project, along with the Grove Site project in Lorain, are probably 2 of about 10 of the top redevelopment projects in the state of Ohio right now. So on behalf of our department, and I think the citizen members that worked with us, we certainly would support this program and appreciate the Commissioner's commitment to progress with this project.
Tom wants to talk again.
Yeah. I would just like to say on behalf of Lorain County Transit, we thank the Commissioners and Mr. Cordes for getting this going. I know Jim was tied up a lot with the Justice Center, and that's fine. but at least we're underway now, and we did meet with Second Generation and their architects, Randy, architects yesterday, and we feel, as you do, Commissioner Moore, that we're going to get a very good plan out of this, and that plan document will allow us then to proceed with the necessary funding sources in order to attack this, because without that figure and that documentation, we really just can't go anywhere. So this is a very important first step. And as they said yesterday, this step here will probably save, tons of money down the road by doing this plan first. Because you don't want to be down the road and try to do something and then have to make any changes. It's better to do it right here.
I agree with that 100%.
We'll be presenting a standard AIA contract, and in the next week or two, we're going to work right off the proposal because time is very critical for us, so you'll be seeing the contract.
What do
You
you need
want
from
us
us
to
today?
authorize the contract today? Is that the issue?
I do. I'm going to read something for that resolution. Commissioner Boyle, you had the foresight to team up with the previous administration to buy this train station. You don't have anything to add? Give it to the ladies.
I think it's wonderful. I'm glad that you finally come to this point. Since the commissioners purchased the train station, many people have commented on their interest in this. They want to know when it's going to be done. So I guess I think it's great. I think it would be great for downtown Elyria, and it will certainly fit in with our supporting Lorain County Transit and the job that they do. So I think it's a partnership all the way around, and I'm really pleased that we've come to this point this morning. I want to thank you and the team that put this together.
You will be seeing the same team from now until we see a open and functioning intermodal hub. I believe in forming teams. We have a Justice Center team. We have an intermodal team for this project, and it brings a lot of expertise that we have to the table to support each other. With that, I'm going to read the requested resolution. I request a resolution to transfer $99,000 from General Fund Capital Expenditure Department Improvement account number 00101-2001-440401 to the General Fund Commissioners allocations and fee. I'm going to let Mr. Rokasy read this. He wrote it for me and I can't read it.
Like a lawyer.
He did that so you couldn't read it.
Yeah, this was early morning.
I gave it a try, John. I
John, is that a
apologize.
prescription?
Yeah, it almost looks like one, doesn't it? Yeah. This is basically the mechanics of what needs to be done, because there is money available in our capital projects fund. And what we're really doing here is moving money from the capital projects fund to our allocations and then allocating the money out. So the formality for this, and particularly for our county auditor to process this, is as follows. To transfer $99,000 from General Fund Capital Expenditures Department Capital Improvement Account 001-2001-440-401 to General Fund Commissioners Allocation and Fees Department, account 001-4901-450-101, Contract Services account. That's the mechanics that needs to be done. That will be processed.
Shouldn't we make it sound like as if, because when they get their money, they should be able to reimburse our
Right,
account,
and to further that, in the resolution, Madam Clerk, it needs to state that this money will be reimbursed from grant monies received by Lorain County Transit.
Right.
And also to adopt the proposal as submitted by Second Generation that you have before you.
Okay. So moved.
I will second.
More discussion? Mr. Moore?
I hope you got all that. Okay. Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye. So in essence, what we've done is we've accepted this proposal. We've put into the proper account the monies that needed to pay for it, so that it's, when we sign a contract, we have to have the monies available. So we've done that, and then we've made the stipulation that those monies are to be reimbursed to us when they're received.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
That concludes my remarks this morning. Thank you, Commissioners, for your support on this project.
Okay. Okay. We have a public hearing at 10:30. It is now 10:33. Let's see. Do I have to read this, or Ron? Who takes the lead on this one? Do I take the lead? No, Ron's like that. Me, man. Okay.
You get to be chairman.
Okay, I'm chairman. Okay, we have a public hearing to approve ditch assessments for the Delfield Ditch, Elyria Township, Lorain County, Ohio, May 30th, 2002, 10:30 a.m. The Delfield Ditch was recently constructed using county ditch funds, and part of the agreement was to place the ditch under county maintenance after construction. The total construction cost was $13,522. Assessment would be approximately $30 each per year. 12 property owners would be affected by this maintenance assessment. If approved, assessments will be put on the 2002 tax duplicate collectible for the calendar year 2003. Okay. Jerry, if anybody wants to, I guess, talk, you have to be sworn in. So please rise as Jerry swears you in.
Kim, are you going to... Anybody, do each of you swear or affirm that the statements you shall make shall be the truth, that you shall answer unto God or under the penalty of law and perjury? I do.
Okay. Mr. Carney, as the engineer, do you have a statement?
Not at this time.
Yes, no statement. Any township trustees here would like to make any comments regarding this? Is there any I don't see any trustees here. Is there? Okay.
Not from Elyria Township.
Okay. How about any property owners who wish to comment? Please come to the podium. State your name.
My name is Leonard Staysniak, and I'm one of the residents that's affected by this resolution to put a tax fee on us. In previous years, when state funds are available, work is done, and nothing is done to affect the taxes of the people that benefit from it, like the Martin Creek Run, which is part of this system. Now, the 12 people that are affected in this case are residents of one half of the road on one side. You have the turnpike exit that empties in partially into this system that's affected. You have the residents on the western end of the road that have pipe draining into this. But being that we're in the lower section, we're to assume the responsibility for keeping it clean. As it happened, I also questioned the cost of what it took to dig that ditch, because it's been 22 years. This ditch used to be maintained and was billed on the taxes before. Then all of a sudden it was dropped because it was too much work for the department to take care of. So for 22 years, there's been 4 residents on the upper end, where most of the flow comes through, that maintained that ditch at their own expense and kept it free flowing. Now we have one resident that maintained most of the benefits because the cost went to digging out all the frontage that the other abutting landowners had, that he got the benefit. On the back of his, he put in, the ditch had to be excavated to put in a 30-inch pipe. On the others, 4 on the upper end, there was very little time, comparable time, spent in cleaning that ditch. Now, since that turnpike exit 8A has been put in, gradually it is developing into a wetlands on the back of our property. In the short time that that exit's been there, the wetland has started to encroach on the back of our properties. I don't feel that we should have to pay an assessment to take care of somebody else's water in conditions created by someone else. Furthermore, in this letter that was written, if we waited 22 years for the county to do something, what promise do we have? The commitment would be at our expense. We commit the money, but we have no guarantee when or if in our lifetime anything will be done.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else in the public? Would anyone from Soil and Water like to address this issue?
I'm Ted Glenn with the Lorain Soil and Water Conservation District. I think you covered in your initial reading parts of the program, but there are some other additions to the program. The Delafield Maintenance Fund money can build up to a maximum of 20% of the initial construction cost, and that ditch will be inspected each year. Any work needed will be paid for out of the accounts or the monies collected. The annual assessment money collected can go on and off the individual tax bills depending upon the total account balance and the work required each year.
So is that something that your department would be doing? Checking the...
That is the county engineer's office that does the annual inspection and
then determines whether or not it needs to be cleaned?
Yes.
And then who determines that there's sufficient funds in there so there would not be any assessment? Would that also be the county engineer?
Well, it reaches a maximum of 20%, or $2,704, which is 20% of the $13,522, which was the initial construction cost. So when that count builds up to $2,704, there's no longer an assessment. It only goes back on if there's money needed for continued maintenance.
It takes about 8 years to get to that number. And then after 8 years, you're telling, I'm sorry. So after 8 years, then the money's in there, let's say, after 8 years.
If there's no money spent, it would be 8 years, that's right.
Mr. Chairman, this is a county ditch fund.
Right.
This was done in conjunction with the allocation that the county commissioners gave to the Soil and Water Conservation District. And part of your rules and regulations, I believe, that were adopted at the time we did this was that you would clean the ditches, but that the assessment would be a part of it so that we would maintain them after they were initially cleaned.
That is exactly
correct. Did I
correct.
state that correctly?
You did.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions or any statements they'd like to make? Okay. That's as far as my cheat sheet went. What's next?
Okay.
So if not, we're going to have to close the hearing, so. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move the hearing be closed.
Okay, I'll second.
Any more discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Now, what is our next step of action, Mr. Ennis?
We have like 90 days or what?
I don't know.
Go ahead and pass a resolution authorizing the assessment.
Mr. Chairman, I move that a resolution be passed by the Board of Commissioners authorizing the assessments as outlined in this procedure.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Okay. Back onto the agenda item.
Yep.
Report of the county prosecutor.
Can I interrupt for a minute? There was one thing I missed. The week of June 17th, I'm also pleased to inform the board, although you already probably know, we'll be going to back to New York to get a bond rating for the Port Authority and our first financing deal for the Port Authority, which will be the construction of the Visitors Bureau. We'll be doing that financing. So during that week, Mr. Twining, Commissioner Moore, and myself will be in New York to complete the final piece of the Port Authority. So I just wanted to make you publicly aware of that.
that issue.